Hi, I wanted to make a video to help people with solving and graphing inequalities. So let's get started. Learning outcomes, things I want to go over, graphing inequalities on a number line, how to write inequalities, and then when and when not to reverse the inequality symbol or the entire statement. So for example, if we're talking about equations, x equals 3, the only possible answer would be 3. 3 equals 3. So when we're graphing that, we would go on the number line and we'd put a filled in circle, like that, on the number 3. That says, hey, x is 3. But when we have an inequality, we have x is, and then a trick for your students if they struggle to know which one's which. This symbol can turn into a G, so that's the greater than symbol. This one right here. Okay, that turns into a G. Greater, and then this one that we are looking at turns into an L, less than. Okay, so that's this one right here turns into an L, so that's a less than symbol. It says anything smaller than 3 is an answer. So we went to 3, we circled it. Since 3 is not a possible solution, I can't say 3 is less than 3. We left it open, an open circle that doesn't have it filled in. And then anything less than 3 works, so we're going to draw an arrow going that way. Okay, that's how graphing works. We're going to do a greater than or equal to symbol now. So this one is Y, or I like to tell your students, anything greater than or equal to 20 is an answer. So if we say 20, could it be 20? Is 20 a possible answer? Yes. So we're going to fill it in. Let's fill in. And then anything greater is going to be going this way. Okay, the next one, let's go ahead and practice. So this says anything, you get it. This is a greater than symbol, 18. So anything greater than 18, is 18 a possible answer? No. So I'm going to leave it open. And then I'm going to go greater than 18. Anything greater than 18 works. Okay. Anything, this is an L, less than or equal to 5.5 works. So 5's in here, 5.5. Let's say it's right there. Cool. 5.5. Open or close circle. Well, could this be 5.5? Yeah, because it says equal to. So I'm going to fill that in. Okay. And then it says this is a less than sign. We're going to go to the left. That's where less than goes. Okay, so that's graphing. I hope that helps on graphing. I'm going to jump into solving. So this would be like a normal inequality. So we're going to draw our line down this inequality symbol. And then we are going to look at the x. Here's the x right there. Okay, we are going to get everything away from it. So first I'm going to get rid of that -8 because that has no letter attached to it. So opposite +8, what I do to one side, I do to the other. That is now 0 and gone. And we're left with 2x. I need a symbol. That symbol comes down. And I'm left with -80 plus 8, which is -72. Okay, so the next thing my students want to subtract again. We already did adding and subtracting. This is multiplication. So the opposite of multiplication is division. We're going to divide both sides by 2 because we want the coefficient to be 1, x. So that makes the 1, and we have to do the same to the other side, divide by 2. So now we get x is less than -36. I think my math is right. Yeah. So less than 36. So if I was going to graph that, I'd put 36 somewhere on here. Let's say that's -36. Okay, I would do an open circle because there's no or equal to under the symbol, and then it says less than, so it's going smaller. So that's how I would graph it, and that's how I would solve it. So this one is called a two-step. Okay, first I got the loner to 0, and then I got the coefficient to 1. Okay, let's move on. Let's do one where it looks backwards. I picked the same inequality because I want to show you more of when to flip stuff. So it's the same inequality. I just put the negative 80 first. And this is what we're teaching the kids to do. Treat it like normal. I look at the x. Okay, there's the x right there. We're going to get rid of the loner, which is minus 8. So the opposite would be adding 8. Adding 8. Okay, that becomes negative 72. We keep the sign there. And then the 2x comes down. And the negative 8 minus 8, whatever you want to say, is zeroed out. It's gone. Okay, now to get x alone, this is multiplication happening. So the opposite is 2. Divide by 2, I mean. And then that. So now we get negative 36. This symbol, 2 divided by 2 is 1. 1x. This is what we call backwards. The inequality is backwards. The problem with this is it's the same exact problem, but my students will graph this like this. They'll say negative 36. Sorry, 36. Open circle, greater than. And you can see that it should be less than, and that's because this is why I teach them to turn it so the letter is on the left. So x and negative 36 are going to switch spots. And since this is open towards the negative 36, it's going to stay open towards the negative 36. So I literally flipped this thing around like it was a pancake. Okay, so now we can graph it. Negative 36, open circle, less than, and it's going that way. Some people can literally read it backwards and say x is, okay, hi. X is, and they can read that backwards and say less than, and then negative 36. That's one way to do it. Most of my students will need to turn it around. Okay, here's case 3, is when we have a negative coefficient. So same kind of thing. We're going to get rid of that minus 8 by turning it into 0. There it is. It goes away. Negative 2x comes down. Inequality symbol comes down. Negative 72 is left. Now this time, instead of dividing by a positive 2, it divides by a negative 2. And we taught your students why it flips over, but I don't have time to explain the why. So I'm just going to tell you guys. The negative rule, when you divide or multiply by a negative, this symbol right here flips over. Okay, so it turns around and it becomes that. Okay, so now we got x over here, and we have negative, so that's positive 36. So a negative coefficient like that, when you divide by it, your inequality symbol turns around. So this one, we had to flip the entire thing around so that x was on the left. This one, we only had to flip the symbol because we divided by a negative. Okay, and then let's graph this. Let's say this was 36, open circle, and this is a greater than now. Okay, this one, let's do the same thing. This is backwards and a negative coefficient. Same thing, opposite, get that to 0, plus 8 to that side. We get negative 72 over here. Same symbol, because we didn't divide our times by negative yet. And then we have negative 2x. Opposite of timesing would be dividing. Both sides. This automatically, I know I'm going to have to flip that over. Okay, so we have x over here because that made 1. And this now flips over to become a less than sign symbol. And then we have negative 72 divided by negative 2, and that's positive 36. And then, so now, when my students graph it, they try to graph it backwards, but we want the x on the left to help us graph better. And this is open towards the x, so it's going to stay open towards the x. So I would be graphing x is greater than 36, which is what we had. Greater than. Okay, so I'm going to do a couple of example problems, and then I'll be done. Sorry, this is long. This one, okay, I'm just going to go through this. I'm so sorry that this is really fast, but I hope this helps. A plus negative 6 greater than equal to 10. This one, the plus and the minus together is the same as just saying subtraction. Okay, so add 6, A is greater than or equal to 16. And let's do another one. This one is division. So it says 6 is less than x over 9. Since that is division, to make it whole, one whole again, I'm going to have to times it by 9 to get it back to x. Okay, this symbol is going to stay the same because this was not a negative. And then times it by 9 over here, that's 54. This is backwards because the number comes first, so let's turn it around. And we're going to write x and 54, and it is open towards the x. So this says x is greater than 54. Okay, this one is a one-step as well. Okay, this is multiplication. The opposite is division. Both sides. This becomes 1. This is going to turn over. And that turns over because we divided by a negative number. Okay, and then we get, what is that, 4? Okay. This one trips up a lot of people. I'll write it really quick. Sorry, I'm going so fast. Okay, so add 1. That's zeroed out. This is still negative p. We didn't divide or times by a negative, so that stays the same, and this is now negative 8. This is technically a negative 1p, so we're going to divide both sides by negative 1, and that becomes p. This is going to switch because that we divided by a negative. So this is now going to flip over, and this is going to be 8. I do not have to flip the entire inequality because p is already on the left. So that's fine. Okay, this one is a double guy. Okay, let me write even smaller so you guys can see all the work. Okay, so the loner's this guy right here. He doesn't have a letter attached. We're going to subtract 7 over here. We're going to bring it over here. That's now zeroed out. Math is all in my head, by the way, so you should be proud. 36. Symbol didn't change. We didn't divide by a negative. We subtracted, but that's okay, as long as it's not multiplication or division by a negative. And then we're left with the negative still attached to that 8x. And then this is multiplication, so both sides I'm going to divide by negative 8, divide by negative 8. And then this now is going to flip over. This becomes, I think that's 17. This now becomes a greater than sign, and this becomes an x, but that's backwards because the letter should come first. So we're going to switch them, and then this is open towards the 17. So this is my final answer. Okay, there's a lot of ways my students can get messed up because there's so much switching. So I really encourage good work so we can catch it. Okay, I want to show you number 11. So 21 is less than or equal to negative 2p plus 9. Okay, that 9's the loner. We're going to get rid of that, get it to 0. That is 12. This symbol, nothing changed because we did not divide or times by a negative. And we're left with negative 2p, and that's multiplication. Opposite is negative 2. This is negative 2, divide by negative 2. A lot of my students don't think I need to reverse the symbol because this is a positive. But as long as there is a negative in the denominator, we flip it. So this will flip, this will flip over, and this becomes negative 6, symbol flips, and p. And then, since it's backwards, we'll switch it, and then this actually gets put right back. So the final answer is p is less than or equal to negative 6. If you have any questions at all on problems like this, please let me know. I can make more videos. I hope this helps. Okay, love you, bye.